Okay, good afternoon. Today is Monday, April 25th. It is 12 o'clock p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States. Welcome to everybody. Welcome to our Monday corporate call for Eazybot. We're excited to be here with you. So again, if you've been around and you've been paying attention, hopefully you joined us. I know a couple of you guys looking at the names were on our Saturday call. So you heard me talk about the what's happening in terms of our community and why the announcements that you're seeing. So we'll talk about that, we'll talk about what's going on. We'll talk about why the Telegram room is closed at the moment. All of those things, and then we'll give a few moments for questions, and then we'll bounce out. So, but let's talk about what's happening. Some of you may have some questions, and so I want to answer those questions before we even have to ask them. And so let's talk about why you're seeing the critical security alert warning. If you're trading in Eazybot using Binance or Binance US, you're seeing a pop-up in your back office. And of course, if you're following us on Telegram, you've seen us post a couple of announcements as well about a critical security update. And we also sent the same message by email to anybody who has connected their API and is trading in Binance. Now, let's talk about why that is and what's happening. So in the last couple of days, I think this started with us late Thursday. We started getting notices from a couple of members that they had suspicious malicious activity in their accounts. And it's something that we're investigating. At total, there are about 6 members out of thousands of members who are trading with us that have had a similar event happen in their Binance accounts. And so for an abundance of caution, what we have decided to do was to make sure that while we were obviously investigating what's happening, and we are doing some diligent investigations, we also want to make sure that we take the fastest path to protecting our members. And the fastest way to do that is to simply disconnect that API connection and reconnect a new API connection. Now, why are we focused on the API connection? Well, the number one reason we're focused there is because that is where we've seen some malicious activity happen, is through an API connection in these members' accounts. Now, we don't know that this is limited to Eazybot. There is some indications that these kinds of things happen outside of the Eazybot environment. However, what this has done for us and what our response is as a company is to make sure that we are ultra focused on safety and security for ourselves and for our members. And so that's what we've been really doing in the last couple of days. I'll talk to you about some steps that we've taken. Some specifics I won't get into for obvious reasons. We're taking some security protocols and precautions that just don't make sense to share publicly. But I will say that since we started getting these notifications, the team has done a really deep dive into our own systems, into our own logs and so forth. We are in the process of hiring a security specialist for our application. We already have a security specialist for our server side of things. We'll talk about what that looks like here in just a moment. But we are doubling down on our security apparatus. And so what that means for us as a company is that we're putting safety, security first. We're taking this experience and our members' experiences to heart. Every one of those that have been affected is meeting directly with Ahmad, Coach Ken. And so we're family here. We take care of one another. And while we don't have total clarity as to exactly what the experience is, what we're happy is that it appears contained. It doesn't appear to be something that is rampant within the Eazybot community. So we're excited about that. But nonetheless, anything that affects our members affects us. And so we want to make sure that we take it as a signal to be really, really proactive about our safety and our security in this space in crypto. We know that there are scammers rampant throughout the crypto sphere, and we don't want to take that lightly. What we do here is a lot of fun. We can make a bunch of money. We can make a bunch of crypto. But if we're not focused on safety and security first, and we're building that portfolio on some really shaky ground. So what you're going to see us focus on in the coming weeks as a company, especially in our onboarding process, is helping each of our members to really be security and safety focused. We're going to do that, take the lead as a company, and make sure that we are doing everything in our power to provide for ourselves as a company and for our members the safest environment that you can operate in. And we're going to ask our members to partner with us in that process, to make sure that we understand what we can do to empower ourselves as we're getting engaged in crypto. We know a lot of folks are coming into crypto for the first time, and they don't necessarily understand how serious it is and how rampant some of the bad actors are in this space. And so the difference in one of the challenges in crypto is that you're kind of on your own. You've got a lot of responsibility and opportunity here, but that also means that you've got to take the responsibility to protect yourselves. And so we'll be a lot more focused in our messaging around what that looks like. But in terms of our event here, the reason why we closed the Telegram room was, number one, just to dial down some of the noise that happens when there's an event and we don't quite understand the extent of it or what's happening. We needed to dial down some of the noise so that we weren't being reactive or responsive to things that come up. And we are aware that when people don't have all the information, they get uncertain and fearful, and they'll make up answers on their own. We're aware of that. And at the same time, we wanted to make sure that we were giving the proper attention to all that is needed of us in this moment: the research, the investigation of what's going on with our members, the attention to the members themselves, being able to hear from within the community if there are other issues, to be able to be responsive to those very quickly. And so we closed the Telegram room so that we could prioritize where our attention and our energy was focused, and not spend a bunch of time and energy refuting uncertainty and rumors and so forth. We will open that room back up. Not really sure when. Look for it probably within the next 1 to 2 days, maybe even as early as this evening. We haven't really made a decision on that yet. It isn't, again, a super high priority. It's given us a little bit of relief to be able to focus on the matter at hand. But we will open it back up. We want to hear from our members, and we do want to address the questions that come up. But we're here, we're present, we show up on calls like this. We did a call Saturday. We talked about the events on Saturday. We're here again Monday on our corporate call, doing a corporate update announcement, and we're talking to you about what's going on. We're talking to you about what's happening with your family members, with other people that are in this journey with us. And so we're talking about what our focus is going into the future, how we're responding to it. So we're here with our members, we're here with you, and we're excited that this is an experience that we get to have that brings us to a point of laser focus around something that's a very, very, very important issue. It's near and dear to our hearts. We've been spending a lot of time and energy in focus on security. It's part of why we have been really laboring over this server migration. It's really part of the improvement of our security apparatus. So that's what's happening as it pertains to kind of the shift of attention and energy that you might have experienced in the last couple of days. We expect things will settle back to normal. We'll have the Telegram room open and going. We don't anticipate that there's a widespread issue. However, it is an ongoing investigation, and we are doing some things, layers and layers of things, some minor, some more major, that you'll hear more details about in the coming weeks. Some things you'll just see show up in your account that you'll notice are different, and it'll be obvious that we're adding some layers of elements of security for your account. So a lot of things happening. Let me shift gears real quick and talk about the next most important piece, which is our server migration. We've been talking about this for some time. This is important for a number of reasons. It allows us to build layers of additional security protocols in place. Most of these are already in place in our current environment, but they allow us to scale them as the community grows, and particularly as it's growing in different geographical locations. It allows us to really respond to that scale of growth. So we're excited about what that means. We're in testing in the server and in the new environment this week. There are a lot of really exciting things about what that environment means in terms of security and safety for the business and our members. So we're excited to be there. We're excited to be able to build on top of this new environment. We've had a little bit of a delay in building and changing applications because we really needed to prioritize getting into the new environment first. So we're in testing this week, which means that we're right there at the finish line, and we should be able to start adding some integrations here shortly. So those are the two big things that are happening: major focus on safety and security for our members and for our company, and then wrapping up our server migration. Those are at the top of the list of what's happening for us this week. The other thing that I'm sure that there are questions about is Coinbase Pro. So I'll address that as well. Coinbase Pro is obviously, as I've said, it's something that we remain committed to. It isn't something until we finish this server migration and some really key pieces that we're focused on from the security standpoint. Those two pieces have our undivided attention right now. Once they're done, we are working on Coinbase kind of in parallel, but we have some other solutions that are also being worked on in parallel that may come to fruition even sooner than Coinbase. So we're constantly working on a number of different exchanges and exchange solutions. So look out for some information coming here shortly. The short answer to the question about Coinbase is we are bringing answers and solutions and connections to everyone in the world, and we're doing it as fast as we possibly can. So please be patient with us. It is definitely something that we're working on. Guys, those are the three most important things that we could talk about here today. I'm going to pause and take any questions that anybody else might have. You're welcome. Benjamin, come on in. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, brother. So just, I get it, and maybe some people don't, but can you speak to a little bit to the reasoning or the approach as to why the layered security and the server migration, all that wasn't done before launch? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would say is it's not accurate.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, and I get it. So let me clarify. So thank you for your questions. Let me clarify our position. We have an incredibly secure environment for our server today. However, there is the challenge of maintaining that level of security and scaling in all various parts of the world is the challenge that we cannot meet today in this current server environment. So as a company scales, as a technology scales, there are greater demands on that technology. And so the ability to respond to those demands, both from a bandwidth standpoint, from a security standpoint, the attention that we get as we become more successful as a company requires people that are actually monitoring the system. We didn't have that. We do have that today. So as a company grows, it becomes more and more aware of its vulnerabilities. It becomes more and more cash capable, quite frankly, of investing in its security infrastructure. I would answer it almost in this way, in saying there was a point in time when you could get on an airplane without having to take your shoes off and go through the security checkpoint. But something happened. It didn't happen to everyone. It happened to a few people, but it was such a jarring event that now everyone for the last 20 years has to take their shoes off, walk through a metal detector in order to get on an airplane. So the reality of kind of what happens in the world is that you respond to the events, and as jarring as it is, tends to be your response. I use the example of, if you've ever had your home broken into, or the story, you've been around somebody who has, they tend to overreact in their response to security. And it feels like an overreaction to an outsider looking in, but to the person who's been offended, you just are going to do everything in your power to lock down that offense. So from our standpoint, we have a roadmap of security implementations that are being done. Obviously, like any other development, there's time that goes into some of these implementations. So some of it is just the time to do those. And then there's this experience. And again, it's still early in the process. It seems fairly limited, so we don't have a reason to think that there's a massive exploit happening. But we took some very quick and deliberate actions to further ensure the security of our members. And it is a fair question. It's a question every company asks when they experience a situation like this. Did we miss this before, or is it just that you've got to stay 2 steps ahead of the guy that's trying to cheat you? And it's kind of a little bit of a cat and mouse game. You build a security infrastructure, somebody figures out how to build a better way around it, and then you're just constantly in this cat and mouse game. But what we've done, as I mentioned earlier, is we have committed to, right now as we speak, we have 3 different security companies, cybersecurity companies that are doing audits on our system, first to help us identify if there was an incident related to the Eazybot system. Also to give us an indication of any areas of vulnerability that we haven't already identified. And then ultimately, one of those will become a partner that will do 24/7 monitoring on our application end of things. So it's a major response for a company of our size, but we're committed to that response because we're committed to our members. So it's difficult maybe without appreciating all that we're investing, but the investment into security infrastructure that we've made for a company of our size is massive. It is overkill for what we are today. What we're building is for what we will be tomorrow. not for what we are today. So it's not a lack of proper protocols in place. It's just we're building for a company that will have 1 million members joining every single month. Hope that helps.